What's going on, everybody? It's your boy AJ. We're on the Nerd Talk channel, and we are doing another OVR. I am accompanied by my guy Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd, and today we are going to be talking about a film called Walking Tall. Now, I didn't really know much about this movie going in. I just was looking through a list of things that had originals and remakes, and this one came up. I've always kind of wanted to watch the one with The Rock. I didn't even know that there was an original. I thought The Rock one was the original, the 2004 version. I kind of strung Tyler along with this one, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. So without further ado, let's start with the 1973 version. It is directed by Phil Carlson and it stars Joe Don Baker, Elizabeth Hartman, Leif Garrett, and Dawn Lynn. And it tells a story of a man and his family, his wife and two kids and dog. They drift back into his hometown and they're basically just visiting family, visiting his parents. And he goes into town, he sees some things and some injustices going on, tries to stop it. And this movie basically is him going tit for tat with, these people that are, criminals. And he becomes sheriff and all that. This is actually based on a true story that happened. And there are some details here that kind of get mixed in. So we're just going to focus on the film itself. So yeah, that's essentially what the movie is. And yeah, like throughout the entire film, they're going back and forth. Oh, what can the sheriff do against the people? And then the people are retaliating in various different ways. And it kind of gets crazy. So like I said, I had no idea about this film. I didn't know there was an original. And I overall I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of liked it. I liked the back and forth that they were having throughout the film. He was basically trying to take out these moonshiners, and then there was these people that owned a bar, the Lucky Spot, and he was trying to take them down as well. Um, and there was a point where they left him for dead, and there was actually a couple points in the movie where they left him for dead. um which was kind of crazy. Essentially, I enjoy the story of it. Like I think the story is very interesting, intriguing. The way that the film was shot, I thought was very interesting. I thought it was kind of like a grindhouse, low budget, 70s feel to it. And I kind of enjoyed that about the movie. The movie is like 2 hours and some change. I definitely think the movie is too long. The movie kind of drags in some areas where they could have tightened it up, and they just, it just felt like strung along and kind of dragged out in some areas. I think the acting across the board was very good. I didn't really have any issues. Was one character that was in the beginning. He died pretty quickly in the beginning, but I just did not like that character at all. I was hoping that he wasn't going to be in the rest of the film, and that's what happened. So like he was just the acting was horrible. The character was horrible. I'm sure he's based on a true character, a real character, a real person, but I could have done without that character at all. There is this relationship with the main character's like childhood friend, or like he grew up with this person, and like it kind of brings forth like some racial topics, and I kind of was intrigued by that, honestly. I thought that was interesting, the dynamics. He makes this guy his sheriff's deputy, and you kind of see him try to take down these people, and they're Caucasian, they're white, and you see that dynamic where a black man can't take arrest these white men, like that. But yeah, it was interesting. I liked that dynamic of the film. And this movie kind of gets brutal too. Like there's like some brutality in this film that I was not expecting at all.
The third act,
The
bro.
third, well, that, but the dog, I was like, yo, I was
The
not
dog,
expecting the dog.
the dog, yes, but
I was not
the
expecting that.
death
But
in the third act, I
yes,
my
and
jaw hit the
you saw
floor.
it. You saw it too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there was this one woman that was like, I don't know, like she was like in charge of some something, and he busts in and shoots her in the eye, and you see the blood in her eye, and it's just like, dang,
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy for a 70s film. I don't really watch a whole lot of 70s films, but the ones I've seen aren't like that really. But yeah, like this movie I enjoyed for the most part. It dragged in some areas, but I liked it. What'd you think about Walking Tall 1973?
Yeah, man. Just like you, I had no idea this was an original. I had heard of the remake here and there. I knew it was one of the Rock's earlier movies. Um, I didn't even know what it was about, so I pressed play on it last night, and I was just like, "Well, time to go to work for our videos." I was about 40 minutes into this. I was like, "Dude, please tell me that something is going to happen," because I was just like, "Bro, this is so boring." Thankfully, things did happen, and I think watching this movie made me think of the original Death Wish a lot because it has that feel to it. I think this is done a lot better than Death Wish because the problem that we had with that movie was that he was just going around killing people cause he wasn't going after the people that killed his wife and I guess her child.
Daughter, yeah.
I don't remember. That shows how memorable that movie was. Um, this movie, he feels like he's on a vendetta, like a proper vendetta. Even pushing aside the whole thing with the town, we get the end of the movie with what happens. He gets back. He gets his lick back. And it makes the movie work better. Um, I think the acting is very good. My favorite character in the movie is probably his wife. I really liked her a lot. And man, old school action. When old school action hits. The effects in this movie are phenomenal, man. And we're always talking about practical effects for horror. Practical effects for action goes a long way. You look at movies like Rambo, RoboCop, Total Recall, things like that. That when those effects hit, even a movie like Total Recall that I don't like, I respect it more just because it has practical effects in it. Very practical effects in it. Um, and it just made this movie so much more interesting. Um, I don't know if I could say this movie's too long because we're gonna talk about the negative to a shorter runtime of this story. Um, I think if the beginning was more well done, I could have actually watched a longer version of this movie, to be honest, because when it gets to it, it's kind of dope. But like the setup was it just dragged a little bit too much.
It's a lot of setup. It is.
But at the same time, when I finished it, I was like, see, I don't know if I could really say the beginning is worthless because they set up this family so much that when things happen, I was like, oh, I was like,
Hmm.
dang. I do wish they kind of went into the meat of everything more, like the racial politics and all that. It's like, dude, if you're gonna dip your toe in the pool, just go, bro. Just go in, bro. That it ain't gonna kill you. You know,
Hmm.
like make it. That's what I'm saying. I wish the movie was a little longer. That way they could go into it more because I could say if the movie was 220 or something, I could say, well, the first 40 minutes was a little slow, but everything else after that, that was the good stuff. And I could have gave it a strong 4 and left it, at speed. But it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I was texting AJ. I don't know if this video is gonna come out before or after our video that we're doing on Mad Max, but this movie was a lot better than Mad Max because you just like with Death Wish, you feel him getting revenge on things, and it just works better to me. This is what the first Mad Max should have been. Um, but yeah, I really like this. I thought this was dope.
All right, Walking Tall, 2004. It is directed by Kevin Bray, and he's directed some, I guess, some notable things. He directed some episodes of The Penguin, Heroes, show on HBO Max, I Love LA, the franchise, Clipped, Loot, Unprisoned. So there's some things under his belt that he's directed. It stars Dwayne the Rock Johnson, uh, Ashley Scott, Johnny Knoxville, Neil McDonough, and Cleo Thomas. That's another one I want to mention. And it tells a similar, and I use the word similar very loosely, a similar story of a man drifting back into town, his hometown, and seeing some injustices going on, and taking down the bad guys. He becomes the sheriff of the town, and he's taking down the bad guys. Okay, this movie, I want to say, I don't absolutely hate this movie. It follows a rough template of what the original was going for. But The Rock as this character, it put a weird taste in my mouth. It was like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like a WWE version of this story, and
There might
that's
be a
kind
reason
of,
for that. Well,
yeah. I saw Vince McMahon was the producer
no,
of the
that
movie.
that's not what I meant. Because in the
Oh,
original, the dude was like an ex wrestler or something, and
oh,
the way my brain works, I was sitting here like somebody watched that movie and were like, "Hey, we could do that with an actual wrestler."
yeah, and that's what they did. I feel like this is the more popular version of this story, that in live action or whatever. Um, but watching the original and then watching this one, I feel like it definitely compromised my thoughts about it. If I watched this movie without knowing there was original or without seeing the original, I think I would have probably enjoyed it slightly more. I feel like the film is shot fine. It feels like a 2000s action film, and it doesn't really give the same tone at all as the original, but we'll get into that when we're comparing them. But like it kind of has like this shine to it. It's fine for a 2000s action film. The acting in this movie was a little all over the place to me. I feel like and that might also have to do with the tone of the film. The acting in the movie felt like kind of clunky. We're going kind of silly, goofy delivery, and then kind of more serious. There's some things that happens with Chris's family that is very serious. His I guess his nephew, either nephew or yeah, nephew is like
Yeah.
has like a drug problem or is dabbling into crystal meth or something like that. And they're trying to find the dealer and all that. So it kind of follows the same template, but it's just like very bastardized and very like fast paced. So this movie is like an hour and a half. The original was 2 hours and some change. We probably needed another half hour to flesh some things out. This film felt like slamming the accelerant in some areas where they just blew past some of these character connections, these relationships. We're like, who are these people? Like, and then there's a love interest, like because he doesn't have a family in this film. He doesn't have a wife and kids in this film, so there's a love interest here, and they try to make it kind of sexy, and I'm like, this just feels weird, bro. Like I don't know what they're trying to do here, but it doesn't give the same vibe. It's hard to talk about this film without talking about the original. Honestly, there are some elements that I did like. I enjoyed the action in the film. I enjoy action. I like action films. So the action was fairly well choreographed, and like the filmmaking was fine as well. So those are the two things that were fine to me. The Rock as this character felt weird. He was doing his Rock thing though. He wasn't doing anything different. Is that a bad thing? Kind of, but it kept me kind of entertained throughout the film. So, those are my thoughts on the 2004 version. What are your thoughts?
I was honestly flabbergasted when I pressed play on this and seeing how short it was. You said it's 90 minutes. That mug is 74 minutes with credits. 74. I was like, I haven't even pressed play on this. This is worse than the original one. Because I was like, how on earth is that going to work? And then I see, oh, he's not a family man. He's random military guy. I was like, I'm 2 minutes into this movie and y'all have messed up already. The actual movie, I think, is fine. There are two major action sequences in the movie. Both are very well done. One in a bar, one is the third act. Both are very well done. It's practical. It's in camera. It looks cool. The stunts are dope. The movie's PG-13. I don't like that, but whatever. The Rock is fine. He's a little corny, but he's fine. I actually think everyone around him, minus Neil McDonough, is better than him. Including Johnny Knoxville. Johnny Knoxville, that was the other thing I was flabbergasted on when I saw the cast. I said, and I was even more flabbergasted that he's in this movie longer than 5 minutes. Because that's the kind of name you see and you're like, oh, that's one scene and no, brother. That man is a main character. But I think he serves the role fine, and in the third act, he surprised me. I was like, oh, look at him go.
He actually doing something.
And he was actually kind of cool. I was like, look at him go, man. That's not bad. Neil McDonough, I found him so corny in this movie. This man was so corny as the main villain. Michael Bowen, I liked. I kind of wish he was the main character, the main villain anyway. I found him stupidly annoying, but he fit the role. Kevin Durand, I actually enjoyed because, Kevin Durand is in so much stuff now, and I kind of feel like he's the same thing in everything now. But this is one of his earlier roles, and you can see it's like way dialed down. And I enjoyed him in the movie. I enjoyed his family. The cast is actually kind of stacked. The people just kept showing up. I was like, hey, I know that person. Hey, I know that person too. John Beasley. I love John Beasley. Everything he shows up in, I love him. Even in The Purge Anarchy for 5 minutes, I liked him in that too. The cast is all cool. I didn't really like Ashley Scott in the movie, and I thought her and The Rock had no chemistry at all, bro. At all, bro. The batteries in my
Zero.
The batteries in my remote control have more chemistry than those two do. Terrible. I didn't buy into their relationship at all. It started out fine when he meets up with her. I was like, okay, let's see where that goes. Nowhere.
Go nowhere.
Yeah, I just but the movie is so surface level. It is so surface level. And I was sitting there wondering, I was like, is he even going to become the sheriff in this movie? There's a movie with The Rock called Faster. I don't know if that movie's like this, but that it kind of gives the same vibe. I don't know. It is just so surface level and just through the motions. And I always say I get excited when a movie is short. When I see a movie is 80 minutes, I'm like, cool, I'm in and out. When a movie is 80 minutes and I'm checking the runtime, son, you have failed as a filmmaker, bro. I was 45 into this movie. I swear to you, I feel like I've been sitting there for 2, bro. And I wasn't even in it for 1. The pacing is not good, bro. And then they got the thing with this nephew. I found him so annoying. From the first minute he's on screen, I'm like, what did he do to you, bro?
Yeah, he has a really bad attitude.
Never explained that either.
No.
I was like, I thought the movie was very surface. The third act is fun. It's a fun third act. It's a long third act. It's a fun third act. I'm not gonna complain about people getting, blown up. I wish it was, not PG-13.
Blowing holes into the floor.
Yeah. I thought the way Michael Bowen did it was fun. But then you get to the actual final 10 minutes, dude. AJ texted me beforehand the plot armor. Oh my gosh, bro. They both The Rock and Neil McDonough, dude. I was like, what are y'all made out of? And mind you, The Rock just went from a full-blown shootout to another shootout in his house to then this. And he's
in the forest.
I'm like, wow, okay. The movie was fine. It sounds like I'm negative on it, but I was like, I honestly debated giving it a 3.5 because I was like, it was fine. I didn't hate it, but just the changes that they make, it's like, why? Why change it? And somebody might say, oh, well, then why are you going to remake it? Dude, keep the mold of the original and build on it. And if you're going to say, oh, well, they can't remake the movie because racial things, then don't remake it. It didn't need a remake. It didn't need one, to be honest.
It didn't.
The movie, the original one isn't like a 5 out of 5, but it's fine the way it is. What do you need to change? The things you changed don't work. You took away the practical effect. The movie's practical, but you took away the violence. You took away the family aspect of it, which was the meat of that movie. You took away the racial things, which, again, don't make the movie work that well. So what you're left with is generic guy goes to generic town to become a sheriff.
Yeah.
With Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who just started acting, whose most notable role was Scorpion King.
Oh, yikes!
Awesome. Oh no! The rundown was before,
the rundown.
So
yeah, the rundown.
I still have not seen the rundown. Forgive me.
You should watch the rundown.
But
it's funny.
It's just there. It's just there, man. It's one of those remakes that I don't even hate it. It's just like, why did we bother, bro? Why did we bother? Did anyone really watch the original and was like, man, they should remake that? No. It's there. It's there. That's the review. It's there.
Okay. All right. Now moving on to the similarities. We already talked about a lot of the similarities and differences already, so we're gonna just kind of go through them. It has that basic mold of, guy comes back to his hometown, becomes a sheriff, takes down the bad guys. That's like the baseline of both of these movies.
Don't forget, he has the big stick.
Oh, how can I forget the big stick? So his weapon of choice is like a 2x4 or a big wooden stick, and it makes sense in the original, but it doesn't really make sense in the remake, and we'll get into that when we talk about the differences.
He was working on his house. He took his stick.
That is That is, that's his weapon of choice, a big stick. Okay. But yeah, I can't really think of any more
The
similarities.
plot,
Can
the
you?
plots are the plots are the same. He goes for the sheriff, and then he
Yeah,
finds corruption, and then
yeah,
shenanigans ensue.
yeah. That's basically the baseline of both films. Um, different, different tones and stuff, but yes.
Mhm.
So I guess moving on to differences. This is where the list gets kind of long. Like we said, let's just go right off from the 2x4 thing. So in the original, his father, the main character's father, works for um like a lumber mill or a lumber yard or something like that. And he comes back into town and he starts working at that lumber yard. Um, and he takes some of the wood, and that's when he starts beating people with the stick. It makes sense that this is his weapon of choice. In the remake, Chris goes by the mill and is like, "Is this open?" The sheriff's like, "Nah."
Nope.
He said, "Okay, cool." So he finds like a piece of wood. Or he said he was working on his
Yeah, he
house.
was working on
I
his
didn't even
house or something. He goes
I
into
didn't even know
town with
that.
his father, and they were working on some, and I guess he had some left over in the car.
So that's how he gets his big stick. Whatever.
Listen, man, I was
Um
just baffled, man. Man went to that casino strapped and ready to go. I was like, damn. I was like, brother, dial it back.
um he does use the stick in both films. I think kind of in the remake he uses it in better ways. Like, I don't know, they kind of get a little creative with it. Like he throws it and like knocks somebody out or like breaks
He only
something. I don't know.
uses it in the
In the
bar scene,
casino,
though.
the
Yeah,
casino
yeah.
bar scene. Yeah, well, I did like the use of it in
Yeah.
that scene. I think just the way it comes about is just like, oh, we got to have a big stick in there, let them have it. So whatever. That's how that's the differences there. Um, other differences, he doesn't have a family, like a family that he's built.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a wife and two kids and a dog that he's bringing to town with him like in the original. That takes away a lot from the film, like Tyler was saying earlier. That takes a lot of emotion away from the film. They try to replace it with his dad, sister, and nephew, that he was coming back home to. It does not have the same feel. It doesn't have the same dynamic. I think mainly because in the original, it's something that he has built. It's something that he worked towards, and he had married the woman. He had the kids. They got the dog, and he kind of loses everything once he becomes the sheriff. Not everybody dies, but some die. He loses the relationships, so it has a lot more emotional impact in the original. um so that's another difference, the family aspect. So in the original, there's a character that I talked about earlier that's very annoying to me. He basically brings him to the casino, or brings him to the
In the
bar
original, it's
or
a bar.
whatever. Yeah, the bar, and then in the back they're doing betting and playing cards and all that. Um and then there's another character that he meets, and he grew up with, that I talked about earlier. He's a black guy, and that invites the racial you know divides and things like that. Those two characters are made into one character in the remake, which is Johnny Knoxville's character. And even though Johnny Knoxville was fine in the movie, I feel like that took away, everything as far as the racial divide and the racial things that were happening in the original. That took away all that. Um, it could have very well been one person. I wouldn't have mind that. But that was a difference there.
The original is, nitty gritty 70s action, and it works. The remake is generic 2000s action, where they also have slapstick. There's a scene in the remake that is admittedly funny, but I was like, this feels so different. Where he, it's the scene in the bar. He scares a dude. He's like, "Boo!" and he turns around and runs
It
into.
runs into the
I was
that's
like,
one that's one
"It's
of the
funny,"
scenes.
but I was just like,
Yeah, it doesn't
"Okay."
fit that gritty tone that the original
Um,
had.
and going back to the family thing, man. In the remake, while I like the characters minus the nephew, they're all just there. We don't get scenes with them. We don't feel emotional weight with them. There's really only one scene where they're like super concerned for him. In the original, the wife is like, "Oh my god, he left the house. Oh my god, what is he? Where is he going? What is he doing?" And there's like a lot of scenes with that. The remake doesn't have that. There's
Yeah.
one scene where he gets, beat up, but that's really it. There's not
That
really a lot
initial
of
scene.
concern.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, real quick, going back to the tone, there's this scene with Kevin Durant and Johnny Knoxville and The Rock have him tied up in his shop, in his mechanic shop, and they're destroying his truck. And it is like the silliest scene, and they're just laughing about it,
brother, I
cackling
had
about it.
no idea what was happening, bro. I honestly thought it was an outtake, bro.
Yeah, it felt that's exactly what
It
it
felt
felt like.
like, legitimately, it felt like a scene out of Jackass, bro. I'm not even joking you. It
I
felt
wouldn't
like,
be.
oh, what would happen if I took a buzzsaw to a huge Humvee Vans? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah,
All
and
you needed
it's
was the
just
intro.
it was. I'm Johnny Knoxville.
Hey,
Welcome to Walking Tall.
here, special guest star Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Bow, 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 bow. But yeah, that's
God,
it. The
bro.
tone of this film, like, even though there are some more serious, moments in the film, it has like a sillier tone, um, throughout, like sprinkled throughout the film, and it just didn't really work for me personally. Um, any more differences
The
that
main character, it's not the same person.
not the same?
It's
Well,
based off the
yeah,
same person,
it's
but the
based
names are
off the
different.
same person, but the names are different, which is kind of weird. I guess they were like, we're not gonna have this guy named Buford. What kind of name is Buford?
Calling
Um,
The Rock Buford.
Buford Pusser.
Uh,
Yeah, he said, I'm not doing that.
um, the bar and the casino, they're different. Then the original, the place is the
Hmm.
bar, and then in the remake, it's a casino.
Yeah, yeah, and they're definitely have a different feel to them.
Oh,
The
well,
go ahead.
I don't remember if this happens in the original, but he
Uh,
goes to trial
Yeah,
in
he
the
does. Yeah, he
remake.
does. He does. He goes to trial, and that's basically after that trial, he becomes a sheriff, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how both
I
movies
guess
work.
I guess one difference is in the original, we get like a montage of them going around busting people up. Kind
Hmm.
of. In the remake, we
Yeah,
don't get that. And that's
yeah,
another problem. He just
yeah,
becomes the sheriff, and then he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go get it on with this girl, and now there's a shootout. Okay, cool. That's it.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
like we
some
were
sheriff.
saying, like we were saying, like we were like we were saying in earlier, the original has like that tit for tat. They're going back and forth. He's going back and forth with the people, the criminals, and he's arresting them and stuff like that. Of course, the moonshine thing would be really dated. It wouldn't work in the remake, but we don't get that back and forth with in the remake at all. And that's one thing that I really enjoyed from the original. So yeah, um differences. I think that's pretty much all the differences. One is a regular looking person, and then the other one is The Rock. I think that's just
Well, I guess the
I
ratings
don't know.
too.
What is it?
One is
The
PG
rating.
13. The other
One's
one's
PG-13, one's R. And you definitely feel that R rating in a
which
lot of
I don't
areas in the first one.
understand. I don't understand why it's not rated R. Isn't the Rundown rated R?
No, it's PG-13.
Oh, I was
No,
about to say he's not afraid to do rated R things.
I think it was just like the way the box office was back then. More people were seeing rated PG-13 movies. I think that's just kind of how it
Well, that
was.
and because he was still in WWE at that time, so I guess they were like, "Oh, we got to capitalize on this."
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, brother.
But yeah, so moving on to what the definitive version is, and I'm gonna say for me, it's gonna be the original. I enjoy a lot more elements of the original. Is the movie perfect? Do I think it's amazing? No, but there are a lot of different elements that I do enjoy from it. The remake, there are a few things that I like. For the most part, don't love it, and it is kind of a horrendous remake. So those are my thoughts. Your definitive version?
Yeah, it's the original too. I don't love either movie, but the original just has more meat to it, and the original has practical effects. So, and I guess it's more or less the violence than practical effects, but it's violence, and I can
Mhm,
appreciate that.
mhm. All right. So that is going to do it for our originals versus remakes for Walking Tall. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And We have a new segment coming to the channel soon. Next month, it's going to, is it this month or next month? I can't remember when these videos are going to come out, but I know pretty much soon after this one releases, we're going to have a new segment called Franchises Through the Years, and we're going to be talking about the Mad Max franchise. We actually had a lot of fun talking about that and doing that video, so stay tuned for that. Um, and stay up to date on our live streams and our reels and shorts on our socials. We're keeping those updated, and yeah, we're gonna be out of this one, you guys. Peace.